Hey guys, it's Elle here. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Glass Sword. Yeah, okay. Now, I finished this book a couple months ago. It's been a while since I read it, and I wanted to put it down, the same like with Six of Crows, but I put this one down for too long. So forgive me if my memory is a little bit spotty. Problems with this book. I enjoyed it in the end, but I had problems getting through it. Like, I was reading it and there were points where I had to force myself to read it rather than being like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? And unlike a lot of people who had problems with Mare, my problem wasn't with Mare or with any of the characters. Actually, my problem was more, I guess it was pacing and structure, kind of. And let me explain what I mean. In the first half of the book, it picks off right where Red Queen left off. It picks up right where Red Queen left off, if I'm remembering correctly. But my problem with it was, and this might just be a personal thing, but I felt like there was a lot of hand holding. What I mean by that is, I understand that if you're like a first time reader and you pick this up, you need to be able to follow along even though it's a series. So in writing it, you have to like go back and, you know, like fill in some blanks of information, like just, you know, kind of, it's like you just need to make sure that people can follow along or jog the memories of people who read the book. Maybe it was like a year before. So if you're a first time reader and you pick it up, you need to be able to follow along. And also, if the first book came out like a year before this one, I don't actually know, because I picked these up rather late. Like, when I read Red Queen, like Glass Sword was coming out like the next week, so I was kind of late to it, so I didn't need that refresher, but I understand that it's needed. But my problem was that throughout the first couple of chapters, maybe first 10-15 chapters, I felt like there was too much like reliance on the first book, and that's not a good way to put it. What I mean is that there were a lot of instances of the characters thinking about what happened before, and I'm trying not to do any spoilers, though if you're looking at this review you should have already finished Red Queen. So, but there were a lot of instances where the characters kept thinking about stuff that happened in the first book, and that's fine. My problem is, when it's chapter 15 and you're still telling me about what happened in the first book, then I'm going to start to have a problem. Because I pick up Glass Sword not to read about Red Queen. Do you get what I mean? It's like, I understand what happened in the first book was important. I understand what happened in the first book was traumatic. I understand your feelings are hurt. I understand you want to cry. I understand you feel betrayed. But girl, the characters, come on, you gotta move past that. I get what's happening now. Get what's supposed to be happening in this book. Because if I am a quarter of a way through your book and you're still bitching about what happened, like, see, that irked me just a little bit. I don't know if that's more of a personal thing. I don't know if other people had that too, but that was one of the things that made it difficult for me getting through this book. The constant referral to the first one. That was my major issue. Now, I understand people, an opinion I hear a lot is that Mare is annoying and Mare is selfish. Yeah. Okay. She's annoying and selfish, but that's her character. That's how she always has been. If you look back at the first book, I mean, she can't be that selfish considering everything that happened in the first book was her helping her friend. But in the end, it's about her and her family and her people okay? She has the right to be selfish. It makes her an interesting character. Like, if she was a perfect Mary Sue, then you'd get pissed and be like, why are you making a character that's so perfect? We don't want to read about this. Why is she so, you know, always right? Why can't she make some mistakes? But now she's making mistakes. People are like, she's a bitch. She's annoying. Why'd you make this kind of character? I hate Mare. Yet you're gonna go and look at another character and be like, but I love him. He's such a lovable being. No, okay? There are instances in this book where you will get frustrated with the main character. You will get upset with Mare. You will get upset at Cal. You will get upset with a whole bunch of the characters. But when you look at their reasoning and you look at what they've been through, it's not like it comes out of left field. Okay? The characters' reactions, what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're saying, they all fit with their personality and they all fit with what they've gone through. So, character-wise, pretty good. Okay? Pretty reasonable. There are a couple characters that I got upset with. There is an instance near the end of the book where something happens and it just feels like it was not touched on as much as it could, but I understand why it wasn't touched on. So there are things that could have been explained more, things that could have been delved into more, but looking at where they came and the situation at the time, you can understand why it wasn't done. The world of the story is fleshed out a lot more in this one. We get out of like the castle setting and all that stuff, and we get to see more of like the people and more of the settings and the way the actual society works, which is great, and I love that. But at the same time, one of the things that I loved a lot in Red Queen was the castle setting. It was like the courts and the ladies and the interactions and the backstabbing and the, you know, being careful about what you say to who you say it to and all that kind of stuff. I really love that. So I personally, that was one of the things that I missed from Glass Sword. But the fact that it was not there made this different enough from the first one that it didn't feel like it was just like a tack on, or just like, it made it its own story. I mean, its own continuation. You know what I mean? It was good. We also get more characters. My issue with some of the characters is that we're introduced to a lot of characters pretty quickly. Although it might just seem that way for me because it's been a while since I read it. My issue was that I started to forget who was who. Now, again, that might just be a personal thing, but I started confusing characters, and there were characters that were coming in and they were playing like a bigger role, and then I was like, who are you? What do you do? I don't remember. Now, I don't know if that's because there was a lot tackled in this book. I don't know if that was because the characters were like, maybe they weren't given enough time because of all the things that they had to get through in this book. But it's like, even though there were instances where I forgot who they were, there would be like a line or like a comment about them or who they, or something that they said, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's who you are, that's what you do, and that's good. So we had a lot of great additions to characters in this. At the same time, we lost a couple characters. So I missed a few. Like people that did not turn up in this that I really missed. Like Evangeline. It's Evangeline, right? Yes, it's Evangeline. I'm sorry. I read An Ember in the Ashes and Red Queen back to back. So sometimes they'll blur in my mind. Which isn't to say that anything about the stories being similar or anything like that. It's just, you know. I missed Evangeline. And I missed seeing Maven and some of the other characters. Because, I mean, you can probably guess by the way it ended that you weren't going to see much of those characters. But I still missed them. but we get to see the Red Queen. You got to see more of the silver side of things. Glass Sword shows you a lot more of the red situation, and I think by doing that, we now have a very solid understanding of the way each half of society works, which is great, because now what Aviard, I pronounced her name wrong last time, I'm so sorry, Aviard, what Victoria Aviard can do now that she's established the silvers and the reds well, now that we have a good understanding of each half of society, she can go in and do stuff. She can create situations and create conflicts, and we will understand where they're coming from because we already have a good understanding in our minds of where each half of society is, and that's great. So I'm glad that the time was taken to fully explain each of those. I'm also pretty happy with the politics side, because even though we don't get to see the inside of like the silver courts and all that stuff, we still get a fair amount of politics in this, and I think that's one of the most interesting things about this series is the politics and how it's going to work out. So I am really excited for where King's Cage is going to go. I have a lot of stuff I want to say, but a lot of the stuff I want to say is not going to be said in a review, because I want to get really in depth with this and Red Queen. I also have Cruel Crown, but I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to do a discussion about all three of them once I read Cruel Crown. And I said that in my last review, I just haven't gotten to it yet. But there's a lot of stuff I want to say about this, about character interactions and a bunch of crap that hits the fan, especially in this, more so than Red Queen. The ending of this book, I will say this: if you start it and you get frustrated either by Mare's attitude or by the way that the direction the story is going or things that are happening, I would strongly suggest you keep reading. Here's the reason why. The ending makes up for any problems. And I'm going to be completely honest here. When I was reading Glass Sword, while I was reading it, I was not happy with it. I was disappointed. There were like the same problems I discussed earlier were really getting me down because I enjoyed Red Queen so much. And I don't know if many other people had that problem. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if I'm weird. But as I got further along, especially as I got closer to the ending, and I don't know if it was the pacing that also that irritated me a little bit, because I found that this was a little bit slower than Red Queen. I don't know if that's just my memory being faulty, but I found that it was slower, and it would start to pick back up, and then it would slow back down, and it'd be slow, and it'd be slow, and then it'd pick back up, and then it'd slow back down. But once you got to that end, and you got to that like crescendo when it started to build up and build up and build up, it made up for a lot of the issues that I had in the story. Especially if you have issues with Mare's character, I would strongly recommend you get to the end, because the ending is so impactful that I finished it and I was like, where's the next book? Like, despite all of my issues that I had throughout the entirety, when I got to the end, I wanted to continue reading. So if you're having problems with it, that's just my recommendation. Try to the end, and if the end doesn't like do it for you, then you know, hey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're not gonna like everything that other people like. You're not gonna like every book, and that's a personal choice. If I personally enjoyed it because of the ending, that's me. Like, I can say that there are other books that I didn't enjoy, but everybody has their personal thing, and for me, the ending made up for it. Now, I don't think I really need to do recommendations like based off of other books for this, because if you're watching this, and you've probably read Red Queen. So yeah, I'm going to be recording discussion analysis thing. Hopefully I should get it up next week. I hope, as long as classes don't kill me. with all of this illustration work, I should have videos up. I promise, I swear. I promise. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I hope I didn't just ramble and say a bunch of nonsense that made no sense for 20 minutes. Does this count as a review, or is this just me gushing? I hope this helps someone out there who's considering whether or not to read the book. If I was to rate it, characters 4 to 5, world building solid 5 for me, plot 4.5, overall I'd give it a 4.5, just 4.5, 4, yeah, that area, just because of those issues that I had that I talked about earlier with the pacing and with the going back to the first book, like all those moments where it felt like I should be reading the first book instead of reading this. But again, that's just me. Those are my personal opinions. You can disagree. Everybody will read it and interpret it different ways. But overall, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next one. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave a like. I just made a website. I should be posting written reviews on there. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing video reviews. I might do both. So I'm going to be posting blog stuff up there, I think, written reviews and writing stuff. So if you want to check it out, it will be down here. It's lreneeart.com. If you want, you can follow me on Tumblr, Everything Creative Goes, and on Facebook, it's lrenee. Okay, see you guys later.